Thank you so much for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure. Today it's very exciting for me because I'm joined by none other than CMA Training School member Stuart Morris. Stuart, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Shani. I'm very grateful for the opportunity, so thank you.
Oh no, it's an absolute pleasure, Stuart. I was really excited when I saw you sent a message through saying, yes, I'd love to do a CMA showcase video, because I have to say I'm a raving fan of yours. You do such fantastic work out there. And I mean, obviously, as I understand it, Stuart, I'm sure I'm just scratching the surface here, but as I understand it, you're very much involved in teaching spiritual healing, and you've got a superb training course for all of this stuff. But I know that there's a lot of misunderstanding about spiritual healing. So I thought maybe a good way to kick off the conversation might be for perhaps to sort of turn it over to you and perhaps introduce yourself and the work that you do, and maybe tell us a little bit about spiritual healing and your take on things.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm Stuart Morris. I own a natural health centre in Birmingham called Birmingham Holistic Health Centre, which we've been up and running. I've been doing therapies for about 35 years or so. And when I'm 60 now, so when I was 26, I got cancer, and then the cancer led me into all the different therapies that I do. And one of the things, I used to go to the QE hospital and have some treatments, and after that I used to go to down the road, walk down the road, and there was a healer there, and she would lay her hands on me and just do some healing, and it was very gentle. And that run alongside the conventional therapies that I had from the hospital and so forth. But on the back of that led me into this inquiry about life, what's life about, and meaning about life. I was a bricklayer and a builder before that, and just something, my nature's never changed, but my inquiry and the meaning of what's life about become more and more, led me into all the different therapies, aromatherapy, reflexology, and began to set up a business. And for the last 30 years, just kind of gone on my merry way until 2017. And in 2017, my wife, who's a spiritualist, who I kind of almost give that a wide berth, really, in my own way for different reasons, said, you want to come along to a spiritualist church, which I did. And I just sat there minding my own business at the back of the, at the back of the service. And an old lady came up to me afterwards in her 80s and said, have you heard of a man called Harry Edwards? I said, I have. I said, but I don't know anything about him. She said, well, he gave me 2 books, she said, and we travelled with him for 20 years, going to different seminars and so forth. And she said, I want to give you, he signed both of these books, and I want to give you one of the books. And I thought, why would someone want to give me one of the books? You've only just met me like less than a minute ago. Why would you want to give me one of the books that you've kept for 20 years? And she said, you have the same energy as him. And it kind of toyed with my mind a little bit. I couldn't quite let that go. So I researched Harry Edwards, found out a little bit more that he was a great healer in the 1960s and so forth. And I saw that they had a healing diploma in Surrey. So I thought, go down and then have a look. They had an open day for this. I didn't want to do any more courses. I'd done all the courses I wanted to do. But I kind of went down to Surrey, and on the way there, I'm having a rant, why would somebody want to put, a healing centre in the middle of nowhere? So 3 hours going past London and into this place. And I was walking around the Harry Edwards Sanctuary on the open day, looking for a sign, an angel, a thunderbolt, some kind of a sign that this is right for me. And I never got any of that. But on the way out, I just thought, this is not for me. I'm going to go home back to Birmingham. On the way out, I spoke to the receptionist, and she said, Harry Edwards used to walk around the back of the sanctuary, a place called Cherry Tree Walk. Go down there. So I walked down the back down there, sat down on the bench, closed my eyes, and I began to hear a voice that introduced themselves as I'm the voice. I'm the voice connected to the divinity. And this dialogue began to come through. And it was literally, it was the most, I couldn't really say what it was, but it had a profound effect on me. And from that, I decided to do the course. And from that, the dialogue continued, and the dialogue became a book. And I didn't realise at the time that the book was a template for the diploma course, which you've now, kindly accredited. So I asked Harry Edwards originally, because the dialogue was with Harry. I asked Harry, what's spiritual healing? And he said to me, take the idea of energy existing first and foremost. And then from the concept of energy as light, you can transfer the light to someone whose light's become dim. That's very simple. But what he said was the light passes through pathways in the nervous system to bring about emotional relief. So that was a kind of clear analogy of what spiritual healing is and was. And I've not heard anything like that before, because it was clear, it was concise, and the whole book and the whole course is based along those teachings. But kind of on the back of that, I thought, am I making this up? Is this just in my imagination? And the deciding factor for me to kind of do the diploma course was I was looking on eBay for some bits and bobs from Harry Edwards, because I do a little meditation for Harry Edwards College every couple of weeks. And I found this audio that was recorded probably 60 years ago. Someone had put it onto a CD, and I bought it, and one particular night after work, and on the way home, in the car, I thought I'll put it in the CD player and have a listen. So I'm listening to this authentic Harry Edwards voice recorded some 60 years ago. And then I heard a quote from the book that I wrote in this dialogue that I've received, word for word, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, I had no way of accessing that information. It would have been impossible. I pulled over to the side of the road in the garage, and I was sat there for half an hour, and I couldn't actually believe, if I ever wanted some kind of endorsement, that was it. Because how would I access information that was spoken by him 60 years ago? So that's really made me pursue this diploma course. And my intention really is to, change what spiritual healing is as best as I understand it. I don't pretend to understand everything that's written in that book. I don't. I'm still trying to comprehend it. But it is, some of the quotes and some of the philosophy is absolutely beautiful, and it's undiluted. And I'm just going to deliver it as it was delivered to me. So some of the things he would have me doing, like exercise-wise, was just to sit there in meditation for 3 months, just to connect. He said, but really it's about connection. He said, spiritual healing is a natural phenomenon, but you can't access it with the intellect. It's an experiential thing that we're trying, he was trying to teach me. And that's what I want to do with everybody who comes, is kind of let them experience for themselves. It's not open for me to kind of, for my interpretation. It's your interpretation and my interpretation and so forth. And yet there is a common link. He said that light was a form of energy to each of us, and it's a natural thing that we can do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to receive spiritual healing. So it's an endless kind of open dialogue that we can experience. All I can tell you is this is what happened, and that's the truth. And it is beautiful, and it is profound, and it is natural.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, that really is so inspiring. It's fantastic, Stuart. Thank you so much. So I guess the question really is, anybody who this has touched, this information that we're exchanging right now, anybody it's touched, and how would they find out how to train with you? Of course, we have the course listed in the school, listed on the CMA website. Of course we do. Yeah. But what do they do, Stuart? Do they just reach out to you, make contact with you? How do you go about actually getting people and helping them to get on board with you? How does that?
Exactly. So they can contact me directly from the website, which is spiritualhealing.co.uk, or the Birmingham Holistic website. Either of those, or I can leave a phone number. I'm pretty easy to get in touch with, really. And then from there, we've got a course coming up in October. That'll be the second one. It's over 3 months. So it's 3 weekends over 3 months. And the reason for that is continuity. So I don't know about you, Jenny, but kind of I've gone on courses now and again, and then it's a great weekend, and then by day 3 you've forgotten. Yes. But basically the idea of this is that you do some homework, you do some practice, you keep that connection all the way to, all the way through those 90 days, really. So continuity is king. Yeah. And so, that's what it is. It's 6 days over, 3 months, 3 weekends over 3 months. So that's how they get in touch with me.
That's really good. So presumably they do that first weekend, and then you'll give them sort of homework and so on to do in the meantime before they come back to you the next time. Is that
Exactly.
how it
So
works?
yeah, exactly. So we have a book. So there's this. I don't even see that, but
Oh
it's like
yes,
a little book. Almost like a journal. So
yes.
the idea of this is really there's a 90-page manual, and I give them that to begin with. Then this little journal, and they keep their own journal. Just each day there's a little something just to connect. And that's the real idea of it all, really.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So
It is a
that's
beautiful
really
thing, to be honest with you.
yeah.
Harry said it's not special. The spiritual healing is not special. He said the specialness comes from the acceptance that it's not special. I mean, if you try and comprehend some of the things that he said, I mean, my wife got an English literature degree, and I didn't even know how to spell some of the words he was saying. I really didn't know. It was that final kind of thing when I heard that audio that made my decision to do this. And that's the truth of it, really. So it's undiluted. I'm just going to pass on some of the things that were passed on to me in the hope that, you know, that analogy of kind of one candle lighting another candle, another candle, is not rocket science, is it, really? And if we can build a philosophy that helps soften us in some way, which this philosophy can, if you imbibe it, along with 1,000 others, I agree, but it is a beautiful, simplistic approach to life,
Mm.
and we can make a difference to each other.
Oh my goodness. And how, no, I completely agree. It's such a beautiful gift that you're giving the world to be able to pass this on to people. And I think what is so fascinating about your story and your involvement and the way this has developed for you is the fact that, you didn't go into it just sort of all kind of, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, quite skeptical at the beginning. You weren't even sure, you sort of got dragged along to this event, you weren't even
Yeah,
sure if it was necessarily for you. So
yeah,
I think that makes this even more compelling for people, particularly if they themselves are sort of like on the fence slightly. And I think it's
mm,
lovely for them to be able to hear that
yeah,
you too were sort of on the fence to begin with.
yeah.
Yeah, does that have I don't know if I've encapsulated that correctly?
No, you're absolutely right. All the way through, I was kind of to and fro. Was this me? Was this in my imagination? And then moments of clarity. Of course, it wasn't. And then I'd flip between the two until that night. And that night, if ever I wanted confirmation, I honestly know I had no way of accessing that information. And anybody can listen to that really, and I can show them and play them. And I say, what do you think? What do you think? This was 60 years old. I had no in that word for word out the book. I mean, what's that? If nothing else, it's open to food for thought, isn't it?
Of course.
Really. I don't think anybody can really define healing. If you're hungry and someone gives you a sandwich, or you're broken, someone gives you money, and yet spiritual healing it unites us all, because
Yes.
really it takes away the labels of who you are, to the essence of who you really are, which is light, soul, spirit.
Mm.
And that's the truth of it, really.
Yeah.
We strip away the layers, beyond your name, beyond your label, beyond what you drive, beyond the gender, beyond the race. There is a commonality within all of us, which is soul, spirit, light. Harry told me light language never in a spoken form, only expressed that way when he had no other avenue. Some of the quotes are amazing, and I know the voice that came was one of patience and kindness and tenderness, and I'm very grateful for that.
Oh, Stuart, it's just a complete inspiration. Honestly, you do such beautiful work, and we couldn't be more proud to have you with us. It just means the world to us here at the CMA. So thank you.
Well, I'm very grateful to you, the CMA, really, because you've been so encouraging, all the way along, and ever since I've spoken to you, really, from the very beginning, you've always encouraged me to go ahead and do it. So I'm eternally grateful for that stepping stone, really.
Oh, it's a pleasure. No, it's an absolute pleasure and a privilege. Stuart, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think what we'll do is we'll definitely have you back because, the work you're doing is phenomenal. And I know we've only just sort of scratched the surface and there's so much more to learn
Thank
from
you.
you. So we'll definitely be seeing you again soon. But look,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Janie. Thank you. God bless.
Absolute pleasure. Bye, love.